All right, so hello everyone, good evening and welcome to today's interactive session. I see a few people have already joined in. Uh, so, people who are there, okay, people who are there, if they can hear us, okay, if you can quickly have a confirmation. All right, some people have are joining in. So, meanwhile, okay, so we have Nida who's already joined in. Okay, great. So, Nida confirms that she can hear. And on that front, okay, I think students will eventually join. Okay, we've just put a message on the group. So, good evening and welcome, Partho. Okay, I Partho is there on the other side. Okay, but I think he's facing some issues with his camera, so probably his video might not be available. So, firstly, okay, welcome, Partho, to today's session. Okay, and thanks for joining in. And a lot of students now these days are maybe having conversations with regards to NMAT. Okay, because NMAT registration was a bit delayed, and then we had now we have the NMAT exam, which is also delayed for quite some time. But students will have a longer period of time to give their exams, which will now end by end of Jan. So this is the time where people come across with a lot of concerns with regards to NMIMS as a college, okay, and how the entire journey of NMIMS is going to be and how that entire change is going to be. So on that front, okay, with that agenda, we got Partho, who is a NMIMS alumni, and he has his complete career graph has changed, okay, from the pre NMIMS phase and the post NMIMS phase. So I think, Partho, you would be the right person here to guide students with regards to firstly, your own profile exactly, and then how the NM affair has changed your overall career profile.
Thank you very much, Haider. Thank you for the kind words and introduction. Let me know if I'm not audible, and you can just drop me a text, and I'll change my mind. Right?
Yeah, you're pretty much
Uh,
you're very much clear.
awesome. So, hello and welcome all the people who are listening to the podcast. I'm happy for this opportunity, Haider, and I think I want to start about my career journey a little before that, maybe a little bit before NMIMS. It starts actually from right up in my engineering days. So, right when I started doing my engineering, it was in electrical engineering. It was from an unheard of college, Techno India Salt Lake. It was okay in my city. It was near my house, and my parents basically wanted me to be near the house, and so I took that decision. And later on, I realized that a
And
lot of people like
where is this college? Where is this college that you're talking about?
it's in Salt Lake. It's in Kolkata, West Bengal.
Kolkata. Okay. Acha.
Right. So
Okay.
it is. It was basically the nearest bus stop from my house was my college. It was that close, and
Okay.
at that age, I guess that's how I people used to take career decisions. Logistically, ठीक है, घर के पास है, it's nearby, it's
Yeah.
convenient.
Yeah.
It was okay priced, and placement was guaranteed. And I think the meaning of a guaranteed placement those days was either TCS or Accenture, which means it's a
Yeah.
steady job in IT, 3.35 lakhs per annum, 21,500 as your first month salary. That's the definition
Okay.
of a stable and steady life, and that's how I started. That's how I wanted to start.
Okay.
Come to 4 years later after my engineering, a couple of my friends had given their MBA exams, and I was also one of them. I had given zero preparation. I did not register for any course or for anything. And I gave my exams and I got a percentile of 96.53 in CAT. Now,
Acha.
that was
Okay.
decent from a day zero attempt. I had never prepared or never read anything. And it actually annoyed a couple of my other friends who had prepared for 1 year. The point is, I missed on
Okay.
the strategy part here because I did not apply into any college. I thought you just give an exam and then, like engineering, after you give the exams, then you can fill the college form. So that was my first learning. Even though with an
Oh,
okay score of 96.53, I did not get a single convert or any call, basically, because there were no colleges, right? The CAT result
yeah.
comes out in January.
Yes. Yes.
So that was the
Yes.
first sort of learning in my life that I should not be wasting my time without a good strategy. After that, my batch of 500 odd students in engineering,
Yeah.
499 students had gotten their date of joining, and I did not. So everybody got their date of
So
joining
you
right after the.
that attempt of yours that year you didn't give NMAT. That year you gave only CAT.
That year I gave only CAT, and I only prepared. I did not even prepare. I just gave the exam because the rest of my friends were giving. So
Yeah.
I had no idea what the other colleges were, what is the scenario and everything, right? After that, all my friends had gotten their date of joinings in their respective companies. I did not. It was a random fluke or just a random thing where my name spelling, Partho Ghosh. In the form where I worked, the company which I worked, Accenture, there was a bit of a paperwork mistake. So they gave the joining to a different Partho rather than me. So my
Okay.
joining
Okay.
date was skipped. So then I had to follow up for 3 months with all the offer letters and everything, and then they confirmed that yes, there has been a paper filing mistake at their end, and I do still have an offer, but they cannot roll it out immediately. 6 months I had to
So
wait for
what
the
happened
offer,
to
which
that Partho? I mean, I am just figuring what happened to that Partho. Did he get the job
he
or
got.
you took
Yes,
it from him?
so he got the job and he got the offer, which means that so we both got the jobs. However, he got his joining date, and I did not. So the other
Acha,
Partho
acha, okay.
started working from June 2012, and whereas I was still sitting at home. And
Okay.
then, as you are part of India, you would know that everybody starts asking, "How are you still sitting after your graduation?" Right? So 6 months I
Yeah.
was sitting at home, convincing everyone that I still have a job. After that, I did get into Accenture. They finally
Yeah.
found the paper and everything. Then the second problem happened was the job was extremely strenuous. It was an IT, and you would think an IT job would be stable, but it was extremely difficult to begin with. It was full of night shifts and a lot of support work, and
Yeah.
it started affecting my health. That was again a personal. It was again so for most of my friends that might not have been enough. Many of my friends were able to cope up with that kind of stress, but I wasn't, and I was very honest with myself that IT was not what I was looking for. I got very clear right after my engineering and when I my first job that it's
Yeah.
better not to stick into your first job, something that you don't like and that is affecting your health. And I quit. After that, I left a good brand. Accenture is a decent brand to have in a CV. And after that, 6 months, I did some contractual work in operations. And that was one of the lowest points I have to admit in my life because at that time, entire batch site, everybody was on Facebook posting photos of where they are going. And I was in a very low paying job. My salary was 16,500 after tax deductions. They had said that they would increase it to 16,775, but they did not. It
Okay.
just you somehow keep remembering the smaller details, I guess. I was living outside my hometown. I was not in Kolkata. I was in Bangalore. So living
Okay.
outside
So you
at
were
such a
living
low
with
salary.
16,000 in Bangalore with a rented apartment. Is it right?
Yes, I was in a rented apartment. Yep.
Yeah. So
Um,
sorry, Partho, to cut you here. Okay, but then I would want to share, put some light, in fact, on this part because everyone only looks at the rosy picture of what eventually happens after the MBA part, and no one actually drills down that whoever has achieved that, okay, he or she has gone through a lot of things to make sure that he has achieved that success, and then he's living that life that he wished for him once. So, and definitely a lot of students who are listening to us right now, I think some of them might be at their home. Okay, I mean, definitely for during the lockdown period, everyone. I hope everyone is there with their families. But there is this feeling, especially in a lot of Mumbai students, that I feel is that they take a job, okay, in Mumbai, okay, they're living with their family, they've got all the comforts, of the life, okay, along with the family. But someone who moves out of his or her hometown and then moves to some other city and having barely a 16, 17,000 job in hand, and doing all managing all his personal chores, okay, as well as managing the other expenses, and then preparing that, that's definitely a lot of struggle that someone goes through. So I think part of that's a really quite a motivating thing for students to understand that what you went through before your the NM thing happened. Great, Partho. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Heather. After that, so this is I'm talking about April. Now in April 2013,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So in April 2013, there were three investments that I made. The first
Acha.
investment was buying a Forbes subscription. I realized that when I looked at all the MBA related forums, Pagal Guy, and all of that, I realized that there was one thing I did not have, which is how do you talk the business language? ये क्या होता क्या है, डेबिट क्रेडिट, more high economy, falling inflation, all
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah.
points. Tanvi, my specialization was finance in MBA. So in that time, my the general business lingo was something I was not aware of, and my English was not. I would say it was not that professional English that you're expected to have in business school. So I took a Forbes subscription, which was 1660, and that meant that was 10% of my entire salary at that time. However, I chose to do it, and I started reading those books every day. I remember in the public buses where I would be traveling, I would have a Forbes a magazine, and I would read, and everybody around me would stare at like, कि ऐसा क्या दिखा रहा है or whatever. But I learned one thing, yaar. In that point, I realized my hello.
Yeah, Partho. Can you hear me?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, 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 yes. I can. Go
Right.
ahead.
So sorry for that. Yeah. Uh, at that time, I realized that you've got to do some things because you think they are right. A lot of my peers at that time, those ones who were still in Accenture, they were still certain that they would want to continue a career in IT or they don't want to take a risk, right? Because they've gotten a decent brand, they've gotten a job or wherever, and they want to be steady with it. I did not. I wanted to take that leap ahead. That's the first investment. Second investment was the forms. I did the research. What are the six colleges where if you enter, you are going to have a better career? That's ZAT, NMAT, SPGen, Snap, and two more. So,
Okay.
what do you need to do for preparing for that? So, at that time, I mean, it seems very funny right now, but at that time, even applying for a ZAT or NMAT seemed like a financial investment because that was a
Yeah,
significant
yeah.
component of your salary at that time. So that was
Yes.
something that I had to plan ahead and get all the paperwork done. There
Yes.
was one more thing happening around that time, either was that I started realizing what I was good at and not good at. I realized I was good at Excel. I was good at analytics. I was good at analysis and numbers, and I was not good at certain other aspects of work. I was very intrigued by management consulting. That's what started to get me deeper and deeper. And pretty randomly, as a stroke of luck,
So
I
from
took.
where this management consultant thing came into picture before MBA? Because that time,
Hmm,
how did you get exposure to that? Was it because of the
exactly.
reading of Forbes that you did of or what?
So I looked at the top five careers that a person makes out of MBA. So they are investment
Great,
banking,
great.
management consulting, product management, general management, and entrepreneur. So
Yes.
in investment banking, I realized that. So that was the third investment I was getting to. I realized that I need to have some kind of domain knowledge in a subject. So finance, because I'm an engineer and I have a natural liking for physics. Somehow in my brain, finance seemed very closely related to physics. The amount of simulation that you can do, the scenarios that you create, and so on. The world of
Yeah.
finance seems very close in my brain to physics. Somebody can argue with me otherwise. And I understood numbers. I was never afraid of or nervous with numbers. So I took up the NCFM courses. So I took up courses in NCFM, the NSE standard certification modules, and
Yes. Yes.
I did them in derivatives, insurance, fundamentals of banking, and commodity markets. So
Okay.
again, there was no one to tell me that was good or bad. One or two of them were actually not useful to me later. But I started then understanding the language of finance and management before I got into MBA. All of
Okay.
this you have to remember is me at that kind of a salary, that kind of a work pressure, and everything. I just realized that nobody else except for me at that point of time could visualize that I would be something that I'm not right now.
Yeah.
So at the
Yeah. Yeah.
place where I was, it is an emotional part, but at one point there was just me who knew what I can possibly be. That was
Yeah.
the third investment, the third certifications. Around that time, when I got into consulting, I applied into a company called ZS Associates, which is a data
Yes.
analytics management consulting firm, and it's
Yes.
really highly rated and it was very good. And I
Yeah.
honestly just applied through their online portal. So that tells you that sometimes you just have to go cold calling into companies or colleges you want to apply to. You just apply on the careers page, and sometimes it works wonders because I did convert it. I don't want to talk too much about the consulting part, but it's a separate very interesting conversation how I got that job and everything. That was my second
Yeah.
turning point here because uh, a little while back, maybe just 1 or 2 months back, in my low paying job, in my lower sort of nature of work, I was motivated to look for something outside because my current job was not satisfactory or was not good enough. However, my new consulting job was not bad. It was quite lucrative. It had good
Yeah.
potential, and I was earning exactly 1.25 times my previous salary right from the first month,
Okay.
with more and more increments coming every month, which were the perks of
Okay.
consulting. So my first jump was 100% basically.
Okay.
So then you would remember that during my previous work phase, I kept applying for those companies. I gave NMAT, CAT, and all of those exams. And then I
Okay.
got into that job of consulting, right? Because your results come later in January and February. So when the results
Yeah.
came in, I was already getting fat with my new salary and my new workplace, and I was very, very happy where I was. I got a
Okay.
99.53 in my CAT with a 100 percentile in verbal. So
Okay.
that was shocking. I had never expected to do that well in CAT, especially with that kind of a
Okay.
work schedule and everything. Um,
Okay.
and then I was faced with my second dilemma, right? Whether I should leave my steady, stable, good consulting career which I have right now, or should I take that leap or take that risk?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, long story short, couple of things more about my profile. Why couple of things did not work out. Uh, of my top two, three converts, NMIMS was my one of my better choices, and there was IIM Shillong
Okay.
and one more college.
Okay.
The Coming to the NMAT part, so when I came for the interview, that was the first time I came to Mumbai. I think that's going to be the same for everyone because NM interviews.
Yeah,
I'm don't.
that
I'm
is
not.
there is a lot of NM aspirants that we get to see. People who come from outside, okay, they probably came for the first time, okay,
Yeah.
for the NM interview. Yes.
So that is the first time you see Mumbai, and that's the first time you experience the fastest city in the world. And I can say that with experience. Um,
Yes.
in my first through 2 3 days in Mumbai, I realized something that this city is capable of or has a potential to change your life permanently for the right person,
Okay.
for someone who deserves that or who is willing to work hard for it. Mumbai is the
Yeah.
land of resources. No wonder usko sapno ka शहर कहते हैं because you do your hard work. I've been into So just
Yeah.
before Mumbai, I was in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, Kolkata, Delhi, and Chennai. I've been to all of these
Yeah.
places for either work or internship or college or school. And in the first
Yeah.
3 days in Mumbai, I realized this is a place where if you really want something and you work hard, you're going to get it.
Yes.
I spoke
Yes.
with my father. He is himself an XLRI 1976 graduate, and he
Okay.
graduated in 1976. So he's before all of us and everything. He has seen all the
Yeah.
business cycles, and I told about the options that I have, and he told a simple thing that if you think that the location or the place where the city is, sorry, the college is, if you think you can survive in that city for 2 years and thrive and be successful there, you should choose it. There are other
Okay.
colleges which I don't want to mention, which are in other cities which I don't want to mention. But
Okay.
sometimes the city is important. Your college is going to be 6 hours.
Yeah.
That's it, nine to
Yes.
four or nine to five. After that, it is
Yes.
just you. Now, where or
Yes.
which city you are is the personal development that you're going to do.
Yes.
So
Definitely, and
that's how I got it.
in a B school you get a lot of opportunity where you are supposed to work with people who are already in corporates or some other businesses. So that definitely is a great advantage if you have a campus in the financial capital of a city, the business capital. Okay, there's a lot of other opportunities that you get to work on. Definitely.
Right. Just as a simple example, the first thing you do when you come to NMIMS, the first week you have something called a Mumbai Darshan, where
Yeah.
they show all the 5 or 6 main parts of Mumbai and why they're
Okay.
famous from a historical and financial perspective.
Okay.
The second thing which happened the first week of NM was they take you to the NSC building. And
Yes.
anyone who is a finance graduate or has an interest in finance, when you enter that building, that feeling of pride and accomplishment just entering
Yes.
that building. You know,
Yeah.
the amount of effort, whoever has read about the economy, the effort it took to build the NSC, to get it
Yeah.
working, to see it operating right now, and it represents India. When you step out of
Yes.
India, people know you by NSC. They don't know you by 50 other things. It's your
Yes.
identity.
Definitely.
Right. Coming next to, do you want me to speak about what happened after NM?
So I mean, so now we understood the pre NM part, okay, and the way you told that first
Mhm.
job, okay, and now you were working in a consulting firm before MBA itself, okay, and
Yes.
what was one major thing, okay, that you would want to highlight, one or two major things, okay, that happened during the 2 years of MBA, okay, which
Mhm.
you felt that like, यार ये एक चीज है जो कि that is like something that you cherish the most, okay, or you think that this is the greatest investment, okay, and the greatest return that you got from MBA, and then how that one or two things that you actually consider to be the valuable learnings that you implemented post your MBA phase.
Right. Um, so I can tell you in the first week what happened with me. Um, the very first week when I entered MBA, again you can imagine I'm a blank slate because I knew that I liked finance, but beyond that I had no clue about my career options and exactly what I should do. And I was 24 years old. For
Yeah.
me, getting into MBA seemed like that is the happily ever after. Then somebody told me, no, dude, your life starts now in your MBA when you start working or studying in your MBA, and that's when you start looking at placements. So then I asked around and I asked which is the highest placement, and somebody said it's 32 lakhs per annum. I said, okay, that's a big amount. Who gets it? So they said Goldman Sachs investment banking. So then I started searching,
Okay.
okay, what do I have to do to get into Goldman Sachs investment banking? And then I did some
Yeah.
research and I figured out, no, okay, that's perhaps not the career choice I can make. One, I would not say I was too late for it, but the lifestyle, the nature, the effort, it's harder. It's definitely harder. Kaushik, let me just come back in 1 minute. Um, it's definitely different. The next thing which I was good at and I was interested was consulting, and I started looking for management consulting and corporate strategy roles. So placements ke waqt, there were other companies coming. There were PwC and others, and other other marketing and finance companies coming. But I decided that I want to stick around for consulting, and that's when I applied for Jardine Lloyd Thompson, so which is now
Yeah.
known as Marsh and McLellan Group. So this is a
Yes.
large insurance broking firm based out of the UK, and the role was something that interested me the most. The role was in corporate strategy. What that means is
Okay.
I would be part of their core strategy team of the company at a group level, and that seemed very, very interesting. I prepared for the interview. I did a decent job, and then I converted it. And after that, the next 2 years, the one investment I made was the reading. I realized that later on in life, nobody will give me time to just read on something. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that,
Yeah.
right? You can't right now on a
Yes.
Thursday weekday. Can you sit at 4 o'clock with a book? You can't. You will have to do some kind of work on it. Even if it's your favorite book, you can't pick up a book and read. So
Yes.
in MBA, I got that opportunity with multiple free periods and electives and the timetables and everything that you can just invest your time in reading. So
Yes.
what helped was I liked to read, and just before my MBA also, I was reading with Forbes and NCFM and other modules that I was doing. So I enjoyed reading. It was not a task or a goal for me. So in the two
Yes.
years, I read as many books on strategy as I could, right from Kotler and other ones to the later ones about disruption and innovation. And then I got a PPO, so or a pre-placement offer from Jardine Lloyd Thompson.
Oh, great. So
Right.
that was a PPO. I never knew that. Okay, by the way, that's great. Okay.
So the internship went well. They liked my work. They were
Yeah.
okay with it. I'm guessing because they did offer me a job, and I've been working with them ever since. Now after my MBA, uh, again my world changed for another fifth or sixth or seventh time. I've lost count by now. That
Okay.
whatever
Yeah.
world that you're used to before your MBA or during your MBA is very different from after. So during your
Yeah.
MBA in your second year, and a lot of you students would relate to this. जब आप अपने फाइनल ईयर में होते हो then you are the oldest person in your college, right? So you are a
Yeah.
senior. People listen to you, people respect you, and then immediately the moment you graduate, you're again day zero. You join as a fresher. So even though I was a senior in my college, when I joined the team, I was again the youngest person. So there again, my learning curve started. I had a good team and everything, and what helped was now my projects were at an international scale. My first project being with Australia. So
So
from the
if
next,
we
yeah,
put it this way, like we just have to put like the ZS consulting, because you were doing consulting before your MBA as well, okay. And by the way, not many people get that opportunity to work with a consulting firm like ZS, okay, before MBA. So you were doing consulting before MBA, and then you were doing consulting after MBA, okay. And this time when you're doing, what I understand, you were doing at a corporate strategy level. So how would you rate in terms of the graph, okay, or the growth factor, okay, for the consulting that you did in ZS, and the group level strategy consulting that you were doing in like post MBA?
right. At a at ZS, my job was quite technical, which means that there was a senior person in the room who would sort of speak to the client, understand the
Okay,
requirements, and then I would have to do the work after that.
okay,
In corporate strategy, the place where I was after my MBA, I was that person. So I had to talk to the client, I had to talk to the entities, and I had to tell somebody else to do the work.
okay,
So that was a significantly more challenging and difficult task, but it was definitely more interesting because
definitely,
now you have more control of your own work and you have
yeah,
more visibility. Now your scope of work was much larger. Your
yes,
mistakes are much larger. Right now, in my previous in ZS, if I make a mistake, my boss will come and correct it and probably tick me off for a while. But in the new
yes,
one, my client might be lost if I make a mistake. So I have to
yes,
be much more wary and careful and bring in an element of maturity. I think either to summarize between ZS and JLT, and now that I think of it, I think the biggest difference is the maturity. I do not
okay.
have the luxury of making silly mistakes or being casual or careless with my work. I cannot afford
Yeah,
to
being
think
more
that some
responsible. Okay, I think with MBA that thing comes into picture, that now you are a more mature person to handle things. Okay, more responsible resource.
right. So you're right. So in ZS there would be a backup. If I make a
Yeah.
mistake, there is somebody else, there is somebody else, there's somebody else. Here, there is
Yes.
literally no backup. So you have to up your game, and your MBA teaches that. कि पढ़ाई लिखाई
Yes.
तो एक जगह पे है, लेकिन do not imbibe a sense of responsibility in the 2 years, you are going to have a problem.
Yes.
That's what. Kaushik, to your question on MBA Pharma, what information I have is that it is a very decent course for people who have a pharma background or want a career in pharma. It is a little technical, so maybe brushing up on your biotech background would be useful. And the plus side of MBA Pharma right now is pharma is the only sector post COVID which is making any sense. It is the only sector which has made money. No other sector has made money at all. So people would be in the lookout for people who have knowledge or domain experience or expertise in pharma, like MBA Pharma.
But Partho, I think doing the core MBA from NM, okay, there also I think pharma companies would be coming, right, for placements.
You're right. You're right. You're right. So there also you have corporate strategy in pharma. You have marketing in pharma. Abbott, one of the leaders in the country, is a
Yeah.
regular recruiter from pharma for their marketing division. And
Yeah.
forget about the 0 to 1 year. After, if you have the NM tag, essentially you can go to any of the pharma companies with your CV, even if you haven't gotten placed. As long as you have the NM
Yes.
tag with you, you can just flip and go there. That option is obviously always there.
Yes. 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 Great, great. Okay, so one last thing from my side. Okay, apart from that, okay, anyone else? Okay, so Nida or Syed Ali, any questions? Okay, coming up from your side for NM, or something like the corporate experience after NM, you can just shoot it right away. One last question, Partho, from my side is, now that you have spent some significant time in corporate after your MBA. Okay, and no, when you grow up in the ladder, and then when you see someone coming up with the same journey, okay, doing it like your junior, or your someone from your own campus, okay, who now just graduated and joined corporate. So uh, where do you see on a long-term perspective that someone who has just recently graduated of a B school and then 5 years, 6 years down the line, okay, in corporate, how that MBA journey or the MBA degree actually helps someone to come up the ladder post his MBA?
Hmm. So, and Hardik, you don't have to worry about that. My favorite example is my friend Kostav Tenwala. He was 20 years old when he joined MBA, and by the time he graduated, he was a consultant with PwC. So there is nothing stopping anyone. And by the way, PwC would only hire people with 3 years of experience. So PwC before him had never hired any fresher ever for their consulting roles. And Cost of Tenwala cracked it. And that's not just one exception. There are a lot of skill sets which freshers do bring that are looked out for. And apart from that, if you're looking for a particular domain like marketing, there is nothing stopping me hiring a fresher versus someone who does not have that domain knowledge. I am also, by the way, one of the co-recruiters representing my company in various forums. So that's why I can speak from a placement perspective as well, just at a high level. Haider, to your point, there is that unsaid rule, and we cannot deny that without a B school degree, it is extremely difficult to reach to the top
Yes,
unless
yes,
it is
yes,
literally your company or your father-in-law's company or something. It is extremely difficult to reach to the top. Now, of course, I'm not going to say that nobody has been successful. There have been people who have been successful, but if you speak to them and you look at the time it took them to reach to that level, it's very different. Your B
yes,
school. So, for example, my I would say from a personal example, my greatest advantage right now is I can literally pick up my phone and text five people in five different sectors who can tell me exactly how things are happening at a deeper level in sectors. For example,
yes,
my friend is in a Burger King, and he can
yes,
actually tell me about strategies that are happening in Burger King in retail. That helps me in
yes,
my workplace, right? So right now in my current
yes,
company, if I want a retail strategy, if I were to sell my products like burgers, how do I do that?
yes,
I can have an honest conversation with him, and the level of conversation is not. You can realize it's not. I'm not reading a blog or an article. I'm talking to the
yes.
person in that company who is probably himself responsible for that. So the quality
Perfect,
of
perfect.
conversations with your friends in your B school are at a separate level. Yes, Tanma, go
Yes,
ahead.
yes, yes. Great. I mean, that is. I think. I mean, in one point, I can say that the more time you spend in corporate after your MBA, your network further becomes more. I think more influential.
Exponentially.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes, yes, yes,
exponentially because see, if, uh, if you have even 30% liking for your job, if you are okay at your job, you're good at your job, and you start enjoying it, you would want to interact with more people who think like you, and then your conversations differ. Then you are going to find yourself growing.
yes, yes.
Tanma, yes, you are a fresher also. That's good. There's no problem with that.
I think Thelma is coming up with this question. Great. So I think your overall journey, Partho, okay, pretty, quite motivating for students. Okay, with regards to how, I mean, the initial part was a little funny. Okay, that what happened when you have a like common name like Partho, but
Hmm.
then from there to exactly, okay, if I have to say that what like the life that you want, okay, someone has to, you yourself has to make it happen for yourself. There's no one else coming up and doing it for you, and you made sure that that thing had happened, okay, irrespective of that couple of changes before the MBA thing only. But then great, okay, and I think you took a wise decision with regards to Mumbai as a city, okay, for the location where you wanted to pursue your management education, and you made complete use of that opportunity. So great. I think this is indeed quite a motivating story for everyone. Okay, whoever is listening to this or would see
Yeah.
this video later
Either I
on.
just right. I just had one point to add on that. I just remembered
Yeah,
this. So a couple of
yeah,
my
yeah,
other friends who were also MBA aspirants around at my time, many of them
yeah,
had mentioned that Mumbai is very expensive or very difficult or very far off, or the course is very
yeah,
difficult or expensive.
Yes,
Honestly, in
yes,
hindsight, that amount is completely forgotten. That,
exactly, exactly. Obviously.
it's the tiniest investment in your
Yes,
career, and it's a one-time permanent investment which would reap benefits. If people look at ROI, purely ROI from day one from a college, rather than the brand, then that's a problem. I think you should
yes,
go for a brand, whatever the price is. If you can afford to
yes,
pay it without too much stress, I think you should go for it. I took a
yes.
bank loan, for example. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is something that happens with I mean most of the students. Okay, like like in my batch also, my friend
Hmm.
circle also, most of them that I know, even for that matter, I myself. Okay, I had
Hmm.
also taken a loan, and then we did, and after 2 years of your MBA job, okay, like I being in Deloitte, before even I quit Deloitte, I was through everything. So
Hmm.
that you don't even that remains in your life, okay, as any pain point, okay, that's not there definitely, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
great things that you have achieved out of it, okay, and that is something going to stay with you for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Great. So I think Nidas has put in something. Okay, Nehal, which colleges accept and MAT? Nehal, for your, okay, I can answer it for you. Okay, Nehal, NMAT itself, okay, that the college NMIMS, okay, now has got several other campuses. Okay, the main and the parent campus and the main flagship program, okay, that they are offering, okay, is known for the Mumbai campus. However, now they have Bangalore, okay, they have Hyderabad, they have Indore. Out of this, okay, Bangalore is doing pretty decent. Okay, so you can consider the Bangalore campus as a tier two option. Okay, but Mumbai is obviously tier one. So then Hyderabad and Indore depends on what other options that you have. So that's predominantly for NMIMS college. Now, apart from that, because NMAT is conducted by GMAC, okay, and a lot of other colleges have the option of taking NMAT as their selection process. So, if you see on their website, you will see there are around 160 colleges that accept NMAT. But among the tier ones, okay, it is only NMIMS, okay, that accepts NMAT. Other than that, all the other colleges, okay, would either accept CAT or SNAP or SAT, for that matter. The other colleges accepting NMAT are majorly tier two, which are tier two, tier three, which is separate individual private colleges. So I think you should only focus on NMAT with regards to NMIMS, okay, and not any other college. All right, fees is high of NMIMS, okay, and so it's not just about NM, but if you look at the IIMs for that matter also, most of the IIMs are also having a fees of close to around 18 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 22 lakhs, like that.
Right. In
However,
fact,
as we, yeah,
so it's my personal opinion, but at least in my time, NM
yeah,
was given the status by SBI for the tier A plus category of educational
yes, yes,
institutes.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
it is.
which means a
I think it's
complete
still
loan
still
without,
exists.
yeah, security. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So that is called a scholarship education loan scheme. Okay, if you go to SBI
Mm.
and you inquire about it, you guys will get to know about it. So there is a list of colleges which, according to SBI, according to the government, okay, are considered to be the tier one colleges or the best colleges of our country, for which they don't ask you for any kind of a mortgage or security, nothing like that. Okay, so obviously there's nothing to worry. Okay, if you are cracking a tier one college, okay, and Nehal, for that matter, we just discussed that how the entire life, okay, the career path changes, and that fees of 20 lakhs, which anyways you would have taken a loan from a bank, okay, and then you pay it off in next 2 3 years of time after your MBA, that doesn't pinch you much. Okay, no, Nehal, it's nothing like that. You would get loan up to 80% of your fees, or in some cases, you would get 100% of the fees as well. So don't worry on that. As of now, okay, I think during the preparation phase, you should be first focusing on getting as many as calls from the tier one colleges, and that should be the first thing in your mind. Okay. So loan and financial support. I mean, I can tell you about thousands of different ways that you can avail that, but all of that only comes to those people who have cracked any of the tier one colleges, okay, be it IIM, NMIMS, okay, SIBM Pune, whatever it is, okay. So or XLRI. So first you should have a call letter from any of the tier one colleges, and then we can definitely find ways, okay, of how you can execute that entire program. All right, so can I go into a good B school with a bad at 10th? Tanmay, okay, for that I have a very simple answer. Can you do anything with your 10th score right now? Okay, I mean, is that in your control? Can you go back and give your 10th class and review your scores? that is not going to happen. Okay. The other thing is what you have in hand. There are a lot of such examples where we know that if someone didn't do that great with his academics, but he has done a lot of other things. So you need to find ways where you if you have some black spot in your profile, definitely there are a lot of other ways where you can cover it up. Okay, so doing some other courses or adding some more value to your profile by doing some more knowledge based learning. Okay, so that is what helps. So I think with a good score and having more knowledge base at your end, I don't think your previous academics is going to matter much. In fact, we have put a couple of videos also on our channel where I've shown you about such cases where people didn't have, like someone with even 55% in their 10th class making it to some of the IIMs also. So that really doesn't matter much. What you can do is what is there in your hand right now. So do the best, okay, of it. Great. So great, Partho. Thanks for joining in. Okay, and motivating students with your overall motivating story. And I think we would definitely want to have a lot of such more interactive sessions with you, Partho. Okay,
Sure, sure.
and definitely, I mean, the other question that we are coming in. Okay, we can answer that in the comment section later on. Anything from your end, Partho? Closing note. Okay, because now we have close to
Yes.
2.5 hours of time.
I, there was
Yeah,
this
go
one
ahead.
more point I wanted to add about NM, which I realized when I entered NM. You
Okay.
have uh, a formidable part of your MBA journey is going to be placements. Uh,
Yeah,
but it is the most important one,
obviously.
probably for a lot of people. Um, your placements is a direct function of how good your college brand is, your personal brand is, and the efforts taken by your placement committee. Uh, NMIMS is a batch of 650 students, and a lot of people come up and say that's too large or that was too big. That question was there at our time also. That time it was 580, and somebody said that is too large a batch to place. However,
Yes.
that has never been the case. NM has never had an unplaced batch. And what I realized in my experience when I was in NM, that the number of people in our placecom is bigger than some of the colleges in other, or in the number of total number of students in other colleges.
Yeah.
Now, the helpful part is uh, the number of total finance majors in Mumbai, which is SP Jain plus NITI plus Sydenham plus KJ Som, is equal to the number of people who are majoring in finance in NMIMS. So when recruiters come, instead of visiting 5 different campuses and going for placements, they can literally visit one campus, which is NMIMS, and have that entire batch. We have
Yes.
found that multiple times, and so me as a recruiter, I'm saying that we have found that advantage multiple times going to NMIMS, that the batch is not a disadvantage; it is in fact an advantage, because you can
Yeah.
have your pick on choice of the size, because you can have
Yes.
multiple types of divisions and so on, varied
Yes.
profiles.
Yes.
That's the other bit that I wanted to add, Haider. Yeah.
So a larger pool of talent, I guess. Okay, that is how we should look at it.
Yes. Yes. A very large pool of talent, which is always a plus rather than a negative.
It's
It
always a plus.
attracts
Okay,
more people.
definitely,
It attracts more
definitely.
companies. Yeah.
Yes. Great. Okay, great, Partho. Thanks for joining in. Okay, I think a lot of
Sure.
people are going to appreciate it. Okay, quite a indeed motivating story. And with NMIMS, okay, or rather NMAT exam, okay, which registration has just started off today. And I think the exam is somewhere going to be from, I don't know the exact date, but it's going to be somewhere from November, okay, itself. So start of November is there. There, I think 4th of November they are starting. Okay, this time. So yes, okay, we have close to around 1.5, 2 months of time overall. Okay, but it's going to be till Jan end, so people do have more time here. So students from your side, if there is anything coming up more, okay, that you would want us to answer on NMIMS, okay, or NMAT, okay, something about the corporate journey, okay, definitely please do comment out there later on in the video, and Partho sir is going to be in touch with us, so we can definitely ask him to guide you more. Okay, thanks Partho, and thanks everyone for joining in.
Thank you, Haider. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yes, great. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye.